If you have ever stood in your kitchen holding a carton of milk, staring at a printed date like it is a countdown timer to disaster, you are not alone. Most of us have thrown away food simply because the date on the package said so. But here is the surprising part. In many cases, that date has very little to do with whether the food is actually unsafe to eat. So what are those expiration dates really telling us? And how much perfectly good food ends up in the trash because we misunderstand them? Food expiration dates feel official. They are printed in bold numbers, stamped on everything from yogurt cups to cereal boxes. The words sound serious too. Sell by, best by, use by, expires on. It all sounds like a warning. Naturally, most people assume these dates are about safety. Eat it after this day and something bad will happen. That assumption seems reasonable. But in reality, most of those labels are not regulated in the way you might think. Let us start with something important. In many countries, including the United States, there is no single federal system that standardizes most food date labels. Except for infant formula, which is strictly regulated for safety and nutrition. Food companies largely decide their own date labeling practices. That means those dates are usually about quality, not danger. Take the phrase best by. That label is about peak flavor and texture. It means the manufacturer believes the product will taste its best before that date. After that, it might lose some crispness or freshness, but it is not automatically unsafe. A box of crackers 1 week past its best by date may be slightly stale. It is not suddenly toxic. Sell-by dates are even more misunderstood. That label is meant for stores, not consumers. It helps retailers know how long to display products on shelves. You are not supposed to treat that date as a strict expiration deadline. In fact, many foods remain safe for days or even weeks after the sell-by date, depending on how they are stored. Use-by can sound more serious, and sometimes it is. For highly perishable items like fresh meat or prepared salads, the use-by date may indicate when quality declines significantly. But again, it does not automatically mean the food becomes dangerous at midnight on that date. Food spoilage does not follow a calendar with dramatic precision. So if these dates are mostly about quality, why do so many people treat them like safety warnings? Part of it is psychology. Humans like clear rules. A printed date feels authoritative, gives us a sense of certainty in a world where bacteria are invisible and food safety can feel mysterious. Throwing something away after the date passes feels like the safe choice. It removes doubt. Another reason is risk aversion. Nobody wants food poisoning. The discomfort, the inconvenience, and the fear of serious illness make people cautious. So when faced with uncertainty, many choose to discard food rather than test it. It feels like better safe than sorry. The problem is that this caution adds up. Food waste is a massive global issue. Millions of tons of edible food are discarded every year, much of it because consumers misunderstand date labels. Perfectly good yogurt, bread, eggs, and canned goods end up in landfills, contributing to environmental damage and wasted resources. Let us break this down by food type, because not all foods behave the same way. Dry goods like pasta, rice, cereal, and canned foods are generally very stable, as long as they are stored properly in a cool, dry place and the packaging is intact. They can remain safe well beyond their printed dates. Canned goods in particular are designed for long shelf lives. If a can is not bulging, leaking, or rusted, and the contents smell and look normal, it is often safe to consume even after the best by date has passed. Refrigerated dairy products are more time sensitive, but they still do not instantly spoil on the printed date. Milk can often remain safe several days past its date if it has been kept consistently cold. Yogurt may develop extra tanginess over time, but that does not automatically mean it is unsafe. Your senses are powerful tools here. Smell, texture, and appearance matter. Eggs are another common source of confusion. Many people throw out eggs as soon as the date passes. but eggs can remain fresh for weeks beyond their printed date if refrigerated properly. There is even a simple test. Place the egg in a bowl of water. Fresh eggs sink. Older eggs float because air has entered through the shell over time. It is not magic. 'Tis basic physics. Fresh meat and seafood require more caution. These foods can harbor harmful bacteria if stored improperly. For these items, following use-by guidelines more closely is wise. But even here, storage conditions matter more than the printed number. If meat has been kept consistently cold and shows no signs of spoilage, the date is just one factor to consider. Then there are frozen foods. Freezing dramatically slows bacterial growth. If something has been kept frozen solid, it can remain safe for long periods beyond its printed date. The texture may suffer. Ice crystals may form, but safety is usually not the issue. Quality is. So how can you tell if food is actually unsafe? Your senses are often your first line of defense. Spoiled food usually gives clear signals: sour or unusual odors, slimy textures, mold growth, discoloration. If something smells sharply unpleasant or looks visibly wrong, trust that instinct. Your nose evolved for a reason. However, there is an important caveat. Some harmful bacteria do not change the smell, taste, or appearance of food. That is why proper storage, refrigeration, and hygiene matter so much. Date labels are imperfect tools, but safe handling practices are essential. Temperature plays a critical role in food safety. Most bacteria grow rapidly between 40 and 140 degrees Fahrenheit. This range is sometimes called the danger zone. Keeping food below 40 degrees in the refrigerator slows bacterial growth significantly, leaving leftovers on the counter for hours. On the other hand, creates ideal conditions for bacteria to multiply. Understanding expiration dates also requires understanding the business side of food production. Manufacturers have incentives to protect their brand reputation. If a product tastes stale or less fresh, even if it is safe, consumers may blame the brand. So companies often set conservative dates to ensure customers experience the product at its best. In other words, many expiration dates are designed to protect quality and brand image more than your health. There is also a legal dimension. Clear labeling helps reduce liability. If a company provides a reasonable estimate of P quality, it can argue that it informed consumers appropriately. But again, these dates are not magic switches that flip from safe to dangerous. All of this creates a strange situation. Consumers rely heavily on dates that were never intended to function as strict safety cutoffs. The result is confusion and waste. Some experts have suggested standardizing labels into simpler categories. For example, using best if used by strictly for quality and used by strictly for safety related to highly perishable items. Clearer wording could reduce misunderstandings and food waste significantly. Until labeling systems improve, the best approach is informed judgment. Look at the type of food. Consider how it has been stored. Use your senses. Understand that quality and safety are not the same thing. Think about it this way. Imagine a concert ticket with a date printed on it. After that date passes, the event is over. That is how many people think about food expiration dates. But food is not a concert. It does not stop existing on a specific day. It gradually changes over time. Sometimes that change is noticeable. Sometimes it is subtle. There is also a cultural factor at play. In many households, throwing away food feels responsible. It feels cautious. But in other parts of the world, people rely more on sensory judgment and experience. They waste far less because they are comfortable evaluating food directly rather than relying solely on printed labels. Of course, none of this means you should ignore dates entirely. They are useful guidelines. They provide a starting point. But they should not replace common sense and proper storage practices. Leftovers, for example, are often safer than people assume if refrigerated promptly and consumed within a few days. Labeling leftovers with the date you cooked them can help you track freshness more accurately than relying on vague memory. The real takeaway is this: expiration dates are tools, not commandments. They are estimates of quality, not precise indicators of danger. Understanding the difference empowers you to make better decisions, reduce waste, and save money without compromising safety. So the next time you find yourself staring at a date on a carton of yogurt, pause for a moment. Ask yourself what that label actually means. Is it about quality? Is it about safety? Has the food been stored properly? Does it smell and look normal? You might discover that your refrigerator is not a ticking time bomb. It is simply a place where food slowly changes over time, just like everything else. And here is something worth thinking about. How many of our everyday habits are based on assumptions we have never questioned? If a simple printed date can shape how we treat food, what other labels in our lives are we following without understanding them? If you enjoy breaking down everyday mysteries like this and seeing the world a little more clearly, consider subscribing to Things Explained. There is always another label, belief, or assumption waiting to be unpacked.